Okay, Bob and Ann Steele, OAMs, thank you for joining me on Shooting the Breeze in beautiful Cook Park in Parkes. Two legends of the Parkes community. And I know you probably don't think you are, but you are, and we'll talk about it a bit later, but synonymous with the Elvis Festival here. And it must be a little bit disappointing that we're not going to have an Elvis Festival like we would normally in early January this year. How do you feel about that?
Yes, I am a little bit disappointed, but I'm a realist. I know that we can't do it. I know that Tamworth had to pull their festival, and we would look silly if we did it. So no, we did the right thing.
And I think it wouldn't have made sense, I suppose, to delay it later in the year, would it? Would have missed that sort of, obviously Elvis's birthday.
It was banded around that we might do that, and for a while we thought we would, but then who's got a crystal ball and know what's in the future? So no, we just called it.
And I want to go back to the beginning. How did you and Bob meet?
I came back to Parkes to live when I was 16.
Yep.
And I went to work at the local service station.
Yes.
The Shell one.
Yes.
And he wasn't in town, he was up at the Gold Coast having a holiday.
Oh, yes.
And when he came home, he called to get petrol and discovered me, and the rest is
history. Oh, that's terrific. Terrific story. Bob, what did you see in Anne that attracted you to her?
She sold terrific petrol. She was a new girl in town, and everyone wants to go out to the new girl, don't they?
Yeah, I think it helps being a new person in town, doesn't it? No, but look, obviously you formed a great relationship and raised a family. But let's talk about your role that you guys played in the Elvis Festival. Because when you talk to people in the community, you mention Parkes. Sometimes the first thing that people's mind turns to when they think of Parkes, doesn't matter where they are in the country, is they go, oh, that's the place for the Elvis Festival. And you guys were really instrumental in setting it up. So let's go back to how that all started. Tell us how that all began.
Well, we owned a restaurant that we called Gracelands, and we needed a theme and what have you, so we used to do play a bit of Elvis and what have you. So
was there any reason why it was called Gracelands?
Because we went to America.
Yes.
And took the children to Disneyland and what have you. And when we came home, we bought the building.
Yes.
And it was called the Parkes and District Student Hostel.
Yes.
And the first thing we did was take those letters down off.
Yes.
And we were going to pick up the vanities and things for our toilets. And Bob said, we haven't got a name. He said, how would it be if we called it Gracelands? I said, well, that sounds better than Bob and Ann's.
Why'd you pick Gracelands?
Well, I was thinking that's one thing we should have done while we were in the States, is gone to Graceland, but we didn't.
Yeah, okay.
We went to Disneyland and Las Vegas and all those things, but and missed probably one of their tourist attractions and didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
Until I come home.
Yep. So sorry, I cut you off earlier, but you're looking for a theme.
Yeah.
When you had the hotel.
Yeah, so we were looking for something, and so we used to do a lot of Elvis at our place, and we had a few pictures of Elvis, not much though.
Yes.
And of course we called it Gracelands with an S, and we registered that name and got it.
This is in the 80s, yeah?
Yes, our first year, we bought the place in 1980.
Yes.
And then we applied for that name and was granted it.
Yeah, and that was a few years after Elvis passed away.
Yeah, he passed away in 77.
Yeah, I still remember the day Elvis died actually. It's funny, I would have been 5, and my mum came upstairs where we used to live, and she was a bit of an Elvis fan, my mum. And she was quite upset, and she goes, oh, Elvis died. And I still remember her pulling out an old vinyl record, because I must have said, oh, who's Elvis? And she showed me a photo, and I got no idea which record it was. But there you go, I can still remember the day Elvis died.
He died on my birthday.
Oh, well, you'd remember it every year, wouldn't you? But, so you're looking at this theme to get a theme going with your local hotel here.
Yeah. Well, so that became loosely our theme.
Yep.
And then, and one night had a party for Rule and Peter Tenkate's mum, and I was looking after the bar and of course the music, and I played heaps of Elvis that night because I know the Tenkate family and they loved Elvis, and I just gave them heaps of Elvis. And all the kids sang and they danced, and they didn't sit down at all.
So this was
This is in 1992.
1992.
And
how many people did you have to this first function?
No.
reception?
No. This was a birthday party for Rural and Peters and Mayor and who else is it? There's quite a good family of these Tenkates. But Rural and I sat down and had a glass of red wine after everyone had just about left, and we just talked about various things and especially about the music, and we just said, Rural actually commented maybe we should have an Elvis weekend or something or other.
Yeah.
And we talked and then Anne came up
With my cup of tea.
to tell us to go home.
Cup of tea, non-drinker.
Oh, yeah, she's a non-drinker. Yeah, good job.
Someone can drive.
And she came up and we talked to Anne about this idea, and Anne thought it was a good idea. And we suggested we do it in August.
Yes.
And Anne said, that's far too early. I couldn't possibly arrange it in that time.
It was the end of June they were having this.
Oh, okay, yes.
So that gave us 8 weeks, and not enough to organise it and
Yes.
get enough people to go to it. So we decided there and then that we would have it on the weekend nearest to Elvis's birthday, which is the second weekend in January.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was our decision that we made that. But we also told the tourist officer, Michael Greenwood, and Michael thought it wasn't a bad idea, and he called a public meeting, and a fair few people came to that public meeting.
Here in Parks?
At the picture theatre that was in the Services Club. And there we decided that we would go with an Elvis festival, and we'd like it to be a town thing so that other people are all involved. And we voted up a little committee, and that was the start of the Parks Elvis Revival, and that was the committee that started the Elvis Festival. So
Tell us about that first festival.
That first festival in 1993, we had 195 people at our first dinner.
Up at Gracelands?
At Gracelands, yeah. We were booked to the hilt, and we had a music man looking after the music. And
playing Elvis?
Yeah, he was a bit of a character, and he did it well. A guy from Orange, actually, that worked at the Tip Top Bakery.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and he was a great guy, and he knew his music, and he kept the place jumping, and he sort of set the scene for future festivals, really. We kept him going for a couple of years.
What was his name, do you remember? Or what his stage name was?
No station.
What did he go by?
I can't think of it.
Ian.
Ian from Tip Top Bakery.
Ian from Tip Top, who can sing and dance Elvis.
Kelly on his van.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He could be watching.
From Kelly's Bakery. Oh, was it Kelly's? And yes, carry a 45 or something like that and shoot blanks and all that sort of stuff.
Real character.
But apparently it was Kelly's Bakery thing,
Yeah.
That first festival was just an Elvis birthday party because it was actually on Elvis's birthday.
Yep.
The first.
So that was 1993. You had about 200 or thereabouts people attend.
We had a street parade next morning.
Okay, tell us about that.
The street parade was
Down the main street?
Yeah, down the main street. I don't think the main street was even closed off, was it? But it wasn't very busy either, so it didn't matter. And we did the street parade, and then.
Do you remember how many cars you had involved?
Oh, we had a few cars and a few people walking and a few motorcycles.
Yep.
Nothing much, not as Ricey mentioned there one day. He said, I can remember the first street parade. He said, I looked and next thing it was gone.
Well, we're not like the street parade now, is it? It goes for about an hour and a half.
Lisa Marie Plain still goes in this street parade.
Yeah.
Did you look up at that stage?
It's been started right from the start. Yeah.
And so after lunch,
Yes.
We had sort of open day up at Gracelands.
Yes.
We forgot about the markets.
Oh, we had markets.
We had markets. We had just put a note in the Champion Post and obviously something over the radio that if anybody wanted to set up a market stall out the front of Gracelands, they could come and do it because we had lawns out the front there and gardens. We went to work at 6 o'clock on the Saturday morning to finish cleaning up and to get the things ready for the street parade, and you couldn't move.
There was a full-blown market set up in the front of Gracelands.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and that was the start of the markets, and we've had markets ever since.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's all sort of happened by accident.
And one of the ladies that joined our committee had seen a fellow called Eddie Youngblood in concert.
Oh, yes.
And said he was pretty good, and we got hold of Eddie and he came.
Came to the following year.
That year.
That year.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we contacted him.
Didn't get enough people to pay for the concert. So we helped out with the concert bit, and then we did things all year to raise money. We had Lamington drives, we had white elephant stalls, we had pet shows, anything you could think of. Our little committee got together and we worked, and we got enough money to pay for Eddie and for our insurance.
So how many years did Eddie come to the festival? Those first 3 years?
Yes.
Yep.
His last year was absolutely fantastic, and it paid for it.
Yeah.
There, he had a full-blown orchestra for the first time, a huge orchestra.
Yep.
And he was very, very good.
So you raised money throughout the year to pay for the following year's festival.
Yeah. And this went on for quite a few years. I ran car rallies and dinners.
Yeah. So tell us about those early years, I suppose, obviously the first one, but in the second, third, fourth, in terms of, I suppose, the number of people, the level of interest it was generating?
It kept getting better and better. Every year was better and better. And eventually, I'm not sure of the year, but I suppose it was late 90s. The Uniting Church was interested in putting on a gospel service.
Yes.
And
on the Sunday morning.
Yeah. And so Tom Stewart, the minister then, put on a gospel service, and he prepared a little bit of stuff about Elvis and his religious side and whatever. And but there were about 60 people, I think, maybe about 60 people went to that gospel service. But those 60 absolutely loved it, and the next year there was 120, and then eventually it got to the thousands, and eventually it was too big for the church hall.
Yep.
So it went into the Big W underground car park. And then eventually it became too big for that, and then came out into the park here. But
which was a sensible thing to do, because we had the seating, we had the shade, we had the sound, and all of this had to be repeated.
Yeah, so it was a good decision. Yeah.
When did it get to the stage where you thought, geez, this is getting bigger than I ever would have thought it was going to be, and it's sort of getting beyond the level of, I suppose, control that I can devote to it?
That's right. Well, even the council could see it.
Yeah.
And there was mumblings from the council and whatever, that maybe they should take it over, and everybody's saying, Yeah, because
Yeah.
it was just a huge job, and
Year round.
we're all running our own businesses. So why not hand it over? And so we had some considerable funds by this time because we'd been going for a while, and we handed over our funds and the control of the festival to the Parks Council, and they've been doing a terrific job ever since.
Yeah, well, I've been to quite a few in the last few years, obviously as the local member for this area. And this park where we're sitting in now, when it's the festival weekend, you're lucky to find a spare blade of grass.
That's a
It
fact.
just transforms to a, the whole region, but the whole town of Parks, doesn't it? It just comes alive and it just transforms, and it's just absolutely incredible the amount of people and activity that's going on here.
Yeah.
Our oldest revival committee still meet.
Yes.
We have the portfolios, and we
Yes.
work under Kathy with her,
Yes.
but they still run
Yes.
the various portfolios.
Yes.
Everybody's still hands-on.
I mean, they even have a train from Sydney now, the Elvis Express,
Two.
too. What do you think?
Right.
What do you think of that?
Oh, that's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Actually, Kelly, her name was Kelly Atkinson in those days, became our tourist officer
Yes.
and married a local boy, Henry. And so she's now Kelly Henry, but Kel got the first train here. She also got our first tourism grant for $10,000, and that allowed us to advertise. And from then we just kicked on from 2003 on.
Yeah.
Just got bigger
It's
and
just,
bigger.
it's just increased in size exponentially every year, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And the number of people. I think the last year they had 25,000 people lining the street.
That's the estimate, yeah.
Estimate. And the street parade goes for about 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? From
Yeah.
and
It's incredible, isn't it?
it's incredible. And like I said, not only this park, but as we walked in, was the new stage that they're building behind us there, where they're going to obviously, because the stage used to be just set up here behind us, just a portable.
It was a decent sized stage.
It was a good stage.
But it didn't have all the amenities that the new one's going to have,
Yes.
Yeah.
which will be a benefit all year round, not just for
Yep.
working as a stage, but as a community centre. It will be great.
Yeah. And the statue. What do you think of the statue?
The statue was the last thing that the Elvis Revival Inc. Financed. Actually, we still had some funds, and we spent most of that on that statue. And
Many trips to the Blue Mountains.
yeah,
A man down there without a committee. Bob wasn't in on that. Just
I didn't want to be.
we got Elvis to look like Elvis. But we still think he looks like Bobby Steele in his Elvis suit.
Yeah.
No, it's a pretty good imitation. I think. A classic sort of pose, isn't it?
I think it is. Yeah.
It's synonymous with Elvis.
You
isn't
don't
it?
see many statues like that, do you?
No.
They're
Although
all stand at attention, but
yeah, most of them are all sort of upright or but no. Well, I mean, that's a classic Elvis pose, isn't it?
yeah.
That one is that the sculptor who done a great job making that, and it is a real resemblance. I've had a close up look at even the facial features and
Yeah, it looks
We had it
good.
all
the
in
fine
design.
detail.
Oh yes.
It must be like I don't know. You must feel so proud, I suppose, when you look back. It's like raising a child, nearly. From a newborn up to adulthood, or you must.
Oh,
You
yes.
must be with great self pride. I know you're very humble, and I know
But it's a good feeling that things were worked out how they have.
So many people are embracing it.
yeah,
We had a bit of a battle for a little while with the townspeople.
yeah,
Didn't want to know about it.
Oh
Yep.
well, that was. Yeah,
It was
there's
too
a lot,
hard.
but a lot of townspeople loved it too. So you shouldn't say that.
you always got to get. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
You always got to get an element of people who don't agree, or
and that's good.
But that's just everyone's different opinions,
Yeah,
I suppose.
that's
But
There
exactly.
probably are still some too. Now they go out of town and lease their house out.
yeah, well, that's right. The amount of money that the festival injects into the local economy each and every year is in the millions.
Yeah.
And then when you factor in how many people it employs as well,
That's right.
and like you said, people who rent their houses out, if they don't want to be here when the festival's on, well, they can rent their house out for the week, probably get good money for it, and go away on a holiday for the week.
That's right.
And that happens.
Yeah, of course it does.
Yeah.
Of course it does.
Not only our little town, like Dubbo, Orange,
Yeah.
Barra, all those places
Yep.
Peak Hill.
benefit. They bus their people over, then they've got them in their own communities then to do their own touristy things on the days they're not here. So
Yeah.
it's great for everywhere.
And you're still involved in the committee or the working? Yep.
Yeah.
Although you've probably stepped back to what you used to be, but you're still.
No.
No, you're still heavily involved.
We've both got portfolios in
Yeah.
parts of the festival, and Anne's on the advisory committee for
Yeah.
the council. So he goes to meetings and they decide how things are going to happen and that. So yeah, we're very, very much hands-on.
And both received Orders of Australia medals, OAMs,
We did, yeah.
for your service to the community, and no doubt the Parks Elvis Festival had a big part in that. But congratulations, that's nothing to be sneezed at. Both getting an OAM for the hard work, dedication, and community service you've provided to the parks community here.
Yeah.
You're lost for words.
No. It is an honour, but I don't ever use it actually.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
You're very humble. Both of you are very humble.
No, it's just I just can't see how we can use it.
Well, like I said, what you've been able to nurture from its infancy to what we have now today, when the festival is held, a week-long event that brings thousands and thousands of tourists to parks, millions and millions of dollars to the town, that helps support businesses across the whole region, that helps employ so many people. It's been an economic bonanza for parks, but more importantly, it's provided a great sort of social scene and an identity for parks. It's really, like I said earlier, people, when you mention parks, straight away people say, they don't say the dish, or they don't say, some other feature. They go, oh yeah, that's the Elvis Festival. And everyone I've spoken to who's been out here, and I've spoken to a lot of people, all speak so highly of the festival, even if they may not be an Elvis fan, and they just come out because they've heard about it and they just come out to see what it's about. You can't help but get swept up in all the excitement and enthusiasm of the weekend. It's terrific, isn't it?
That's for
You don't
sure.
have to be an Elvis fan.
No.
We've got our Poets Breakfast,
Yep.
we've got our car shows,
Yep.
they play golf, we do their splash at the pool, and there's lots of
Rugby, Elvis rugby.
Elvis rugby.
I might try and get a run in that next year.
Well, that'd be good. That'd be worth seeing.
I will. You talk to your people and let me know. But they'll be keen to have a run. And a bit of Elvis rugby on the Friday night. Isn't it Friday night usually?
6 o'clock, yeah. The rugby
pretty hot,
boys
though.
are the highlight.
Oh, it's
January.
pretty hot.
Our festival.
It doesn't worry them.
Yeah. Although I'm sure they cool down with a
They
few
do, they do.
few beverages.
They do.
But it's like something for everyone, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It certainly is, yeah.
Well, Anne, Bob, Steele, thank you both very much for joining us on this edition of Shooting the Breeze. Beautiful day today in Cook Park, and thank you again for everything you guys have both done, you and your team, but especially you two, because you were really the driving force in the beginning, and have been heavily involved throughout the last 30 odd years that the festival's been going, and it's a testament to you both, the vision that you had. And sure, it takes a little bit of luck too, but through hard work you create your own luck, don't you? And it's great to see it
and
develop.
Festival time won't go unnoticed. Our little girls are working very hard with their team to take highlights from all the festival and put things on our website for Friday and Saturday when our festival trips start.
Yeah, terrific. No worries. All right, well, thanks very much for joining us, and once again, wish you all the best.